Hello, everybody. Sorry to be late. Actually, Michael filmed me very well here. So, as you know, patient came first, so I was in the clinic, so I was running. Okay, well, thank you for being keep the clinic very busy. Last night, before just for an or note, we have a very nice meeting with Dr. Concha. We have our clinic for the memory clinic, and soon enough, you will hear that we have the second medication approved for Alzheimer's. So the first one was an infusion every 2 weeks. Now we have one is once a month. Hopefully we'll have to say the same for Parkinson's, but I still had the question about, because it's similar to Alzheimer's, Parkinson's is due to misfold protein. In Alzheimer's, it's alpha amyloid, sorry, it's an amyloid, beta amyloid, and there's another protein, it's called the tau, and Parkinson's is alpha-synuclein. We are not there in Parkinson's, not that we're going to be jobless, they could come to us, but hopefully we can get a better treatment or get it to reverse Parkinson's. Okay, so let's start, and I hope the people, and welcome the people to the Zoom, and let's start. So this is the second portion for this talk. So before we talk about caregivers, and in the last talk to go about the stages of Parkinson's. So we go from the stage 1 to stage 5, and we talk about the journey in Parkinson's. For us, it's not important the patient, but the caregivers. So we're talking about when is the best time to get some help. So let's talk about that today. Sometimes I would say, and I apologize if some of you feel a little sad with this, but unfortunately, that's the reality, how Parkinson's start progressing, and at some point, we need definitely to get some help. So let's go to, I think this is the one, let me see, this is the one, let me see, I get the right one. Okay, let's talk about this.
My mom really physically couldn't take care of him, lifting him up. You know, when you're lifting up someone like that, it's dead weight, and she's a small woman, and we had to make that decision that we needed to have someone, we had someone in the home for a while to help, but because he wanted to wander so much out of the home and we'd have to lock him in, we thought this is just not a way to live. So we found a facility a few miles from the house, which was very fortunate. And he was there for the last 6 months of his life. That was such a difficult decision for her because she didn't want to feel like she was giving up on her husband.
So this is when you come to a support group and you hear from patients again, when you hear from family members or caregivers, it's different when you hear from the doctors. So you come to the office, I hear only just a part. I always ask the caregiver, tell me the patient is doing like this. Most of the time when you come to the office or the patient come to the office, they do their best. And we don't hear about how much they work for the caregiver. And again, applause for people, for the caregiver. But one of the measures we're going through is, I always say to the caregivers, you have to come first. You have to take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself and you get sick, he's going to take care of both of you. So that's one of the messages today. So
she actually made the best decision. And if I could reiterate anything, make the decisions on what's best for your person that you love with Parkinson's, because putting them somewhere is not giving up on them. If they can get better medical care and why.
So this part is very important. If you need to place your loved one in a facility or you need to get help, it's not, you're not giving up. You don't have to have that feeling of being guilty or feeling that you're just a human being. So you're not able to take care of your loved one 24/7. Sometimes you need help. And again, you can sometimes get a better care. I know you're a human being, but you're not a physical therapist, you are not a doctor, you're not a speech therapist. There is a lot of things or resources that you can take care of, or you can take advantage of that. So let's continue with this.
Watch 24/7 with surveillance and all of these things. It just made it so much better for him.
So I found these videos from the Parkinson Foundation very useful.
I think
Let's go from the next one here.
a big challenge for caregivers dealing with someone remotely. They lose their independence, their ability to drive and see you. So you need to go and see them and take that initiative. If they do come and see you, that's great, but there's a challenge there that they feel uncomfortable in an environment that they're not accustomed to. And it adds an element of concern, danger, even that in the middle of the night they're gonna get up and walk away. You wanna try and have life as normal as possible. You wanna return to better days as far as health goes, the trips and the activities that you used to do. And I'll bet many of us are guilty, I know I am, of pushing the envelope and pushing my father further than I should. The advanced stages have come about the last few years, but I'm not sure that I feel entirely comfortable taking him now. And it's really hard to recognize that as his son, that maybe it's not the safest. As much as I would love to jump in the car with him and drive from Minnesota to Montana to see his mom, I may not have the skills to do that, to take care of him. And it's difficult.
This is a very difficult situation for the family, ourselves as well, talking about driving. So one is, and I found something very unfair in people with Parkinson's. When you go to renew your driver license, and the clerk notice you have tremors, they're feeling that they have the authority to tell, no, you cannot drive. And yes, and you immediately get a letter saying you need to get evaluation for your doctor. So it's very unfair, but in the same time, when there's going to the time for cognition or the time reaction or something, it's a tough decision as well. We're talking decisions today sometimes, or giving up on driving or something like that. So
difficult to see someone in that position, but certainly you just dive in and you do what you can to help and hold and support both emotionally and physically the person. That moral support means a lot to them.
So there is how manage Parkinson's, advanced Parkinson's disease. So along the way, I found this website, the Parkinson's Foundation, very useful, and there is a lot of videos here that you can access. I just want to show some clips of some of those, but you can access and look at this. One of the things is how you make some changes around the house, for example, when the Parkinson's start progressing for safety, accommodations, and for the future.
It is important to think about safety in the home environment. Even if you have lived in your home for a long time, your loved one may have trouble staying safe because of changes in his movement, balance, vision, thinking, or memory. It can be helpful to conduct a home safety tour looking for potential. Look around your home as if you've never seen it before, and consider changes you could make for both present and future needs. At least 1/3 of all falls in older adults involve environmental hazards in the home. Many of these risks and hazards can be reduced through simple modifications. Begin your home tour by considering the floors. Carpeting should be low pile without too much cushioning for best walking stability. One color carpeting is best. Avoid large patterns or multiple colors, which can make walking more difficult. Remove all throw rugs, which...
So remember, in Parkinson's, the visual cues are very important. especially going to a narrow space. Sometimes you get the freezing. Some people place like a zebra, like a blue tape, one step in between for those areas. Actually, you see in internet houses of people with Parkinson's, like lines of tape all over the place. So that's this video is very important for safety. So I know when we talk about occupational therapy, or we using occupational therapy to look for home safeties, all these cues that we're talking today, which are very important.
Which are a risk for tripping or stumbling. This is especially important for people with a tendency to shuffle their feet and for people who use a cane or walker. Make sure it is easy to move a wheelchair over the floor surfaces if your loved one uses a wheelchair frequently. Linoleum or tile floors should not be too slippery.
We had talked about having, taking up this not very long nap carpeting and putting down a glued down Berber kind of carpet. But it would have been quite expensive. We ended up, well, we'll give this a try. And it's working pretty well for Levon. It's not the best for a wheelchair. The hallway areas, the public areas, if you're living in a public condo or apartment kind of thing, you need to pay attention to the rollover threshold situations, to whether if there's an elevator kind of thing, how that works, and how the flooring works, especially for walkers and wheelchairs.
Placing colored tape lines in a doorway can make it easier for people with Parkinson's who have difficulty moving and experience freezing episodes. The tape provides a visual cue for where to place each foot when moving through the door. Taped lines can also be placed down a hallway or in other areas where freezing often occurs. Next.
So I cannot be tired to say this, and now you see the walker with laser input. The cane can have a laser input. When you have episodes of freezing, you just have the line in the floor and you step on the line. So that's on in the apartments, like the tape that I just mentioned. Right now, it's very important.
Look at the lighting in your home. Is there enough light in all rooms for your loved one to move around safely? Remember that Parkinson's can cause changes to a person's vision, so people with Parkinson's need more light to see well. Add lamps or overhead lights as needed to light up the space, but make sure the lighting does not cause shadows on the floor. Shadows can confuse people with Parkinson's, making it hard to move and increase the risk for freezing. Think about lighting the hallways too, especially the path to the bathroom. Motion detect.
You saw that walker with the laser input. It's a very nice advance in my fellowship. We use the laser input a walker. So that's one of the best devices I know for people with freezing and for safety.
Night lights or tap lights can brighten dimly lit areas. Now turn your attention to the furniture. It is difficult to rise from low, soft chairs or couches. Choose chairs with solid armrests and firm upholstery. Consider adding an extra seat cushion so the seat is high enough to make rising easier. Avoid chairs with rocking or swivel bases, which can make it harder to get up safely. Velvet or velour upholstery may also create more difficulty as the person tries to slide forward to get up. Think about how the furniture is placed in each room. Small enclosed spaces tend to increase falls risk in people with Parkinson's. Does your home have wide walkways that allow easy access to the bedroom, bathroom, and dining table? Can your loved ones safely use their cane, walker, or wheelchair throughout the space? You may want to rearrange furniture or remove some items to achieve wide, open spaces. For example, a coffee table can create a barrier as a person tries to move across the room or between the furniture. Consider removing the coffee table from the middle of the room to open up the space and reduce fall risk. Ottomans, Footstools and plants are also common tripping hazards in the home and should be moved out of the way. Books, magazines, and newspapers should be taken out of the room when finished to reduce clutter. Shoes, toys, and pet supplies are also common tripping hazards and
So this is very, very important. Try to avoid the clutter. The simpler the room, the better. They mentioned about obstacles, um, narrow space and parking. So again, the visual cues are very important. So try to make the rooms as simple as possible, avoiding kind of books, magazines, or anything, or carpets that can make you fall. So that's very important.
need to be placed in areas well out of the walking path. Parkinson's disease frequently results in short, shuffling steps, reduced balance, and difficulty turning. These walking changes make your loved one more vulnerable to tripping or stumbling over items on the floor. You already have a lot to think about, but your home safety tour is not complete. For more tips about changes to make your home safer for the person with Parkinson's, watch Part 2 of Changes Around the House.
So she advised you, and again, I don't want to go to all the videos, but I recommend to go. There is a part 2. There is some tips for scheduling, plan for scheduling. For example, it's very important when you come into the office to have in a list the things that you need to talk, your needs, and only for medications, equipment that you probably need at home. And then there is a lot of tips about falling, dressing, so the occupational therapist can help with that. We talk about bathroom 1 and 2, the thinking, medications, traveling, so forth. So I recommend to go to all these videos. This is available, and Susan have this online, so you can click in that hyperlink, or just visit the Parkinson Foundation, and this is called Care Map, Managing Advanced Parkinson's Disease. So let me go back to here. Okay, so that part we pass. Now, let's check on our videos about a challenge for caregivers. So we like to care of the caregivers as well.
I believe the biggest challenge as a caregiver was trying to make sure that the very best was being done. That was possible in the given situation as we progress through. And that trying to keep things as happy and comfortable for my husband.
I think one of the things that has always thrown me is that I was never ready when changes came. I always thought things would be status quo. I never thought he would progress and become worse and have to go from a cane to a walker to a wheelchair. And I think that was the hardest for me as a caregiver.
I think the biggest challenge for me is the dementia and that sleeping disorder. He can ask me the same question 15 times. And that's what I've been praying and asking the Lord to just, if he asks me 15 times, just to stay calm and just answer it. But I think that is so challenging for me, the memory loss.
For me, it's been changing to really becoming a full-time. In the last 15 years almost, I've learned that I had to give up a lot of things, and it wasn't really a major challenge. It's just that that's what was needed.
I think the biggest reward is that we somehow manage to come together and work through these situations. We're always looking for new resources, for new techniques, and instruments that can help us facilitate his progressive disease.
And the biggest reward through this whole journey was to see Roger reach the end in as peaceful and lovely way as possible.
My biggest reward that I was able to find all the resources that I do have. My husband did everything. You know, and he knew how to do everything. And then all of a sudden, when everything just dropped out, I had to do everything. Everything. This winter, I had to use the snowblower and we had a lot of snow this winter. And I had to be out there doing that. And before, I would just take care of the house and he would take care outside. Now, I got to do everything. So to have those different resources in place, and that's rewarding for me to know that I could do that.
Biggest reward.
So that's one of the messages today. So you're not alone. There's a lot of resources. As the time goes, and again, every day counts, and every day has its own stress. But it's important to plan for the future and knowing that this is a neurodegenerative disease. And I'm sorry, it's when I see those videos, I get a little sad. But unfortunately, that's reality, and we have to. When I start the fellowship, I remember that it's better to be prepared to be scared. So it's better to prepare for the future, be aware of the situation, and for the caregivers, you're not Superman or Superwoman. You have a lot of resources you can rely or lean on, because they are there, and again, that can make you the quality of life yours and your loved one better. Again, it's not like you have to own your health and have some time for yourself. You need to have some respite, and if you enjoy that, and you can be more healthy or healthier, because sometimes you forget you have your own life on your own health, and sometimes you get sick, and you get sick again, who is going to take care of you. So
Reward as a caregiver, it's a little hard to choose, but probably the biggest one would be to be able to return a little bit of what my wife LaBonne has given to me and to our children and our grandchildren and communities that we've lived in over so many years, be able to return a little bit of that.
okay, so let's moving on this. So when it's time to get some help, again, there is a lot of resources, and you can ask for help. So let's go for this one.
I went through the caregiving process during my husband's illness. So what happened with Roger? We first tried bringing on a skilled aide, a trained aide, to help with skills of daily living, getting him ready in the morning.
So that's very common that after you yourself make the decision to pay somebody to help you. And remember as well, Medicare can assist you to have somebody from home health, and many of you, again, want to embrace your loved one and don't want that nobody to come to your home. You don't want any strangers in your home. I understand that. But again, there is a lot of resources that you can get some help, and that's paid by Medicare for the most part.
When that was becoming very hard, so that he could go off to the day program. And that was wonderful. For a whole year, that worked very effectively. And we just needed to add more of that, because it wasn't just 3 days a week. I mean, we found that he needed some help like that pretty much all week. And I could do a lot of it, but not all of it. And then what was happening was the developing of the nighttime energetic or awake or impulsive at night, getting out of bed and I was not getting any rest. So then my daughters, my team, were watching this and set us down, and they said, Mom and Dad, you've got to add somebody at night so that you can sleep. So then I moved into the other bedroom, and we had an aide with us.
So that's very important. You got to see in many of these videos that there is some other people saying that of the wife not sleeping for years because we're going to talk about dementia or something. Usually, at some point, the patients just sleep during the day and wander at night. So sometimes very difficult to deal with that, and the caregivers don't sleep. So, what advice is for the caregivers?
What would be my advice for other caregivers going through the same situation? Do you have about 2 hours? There is so much advice. Mainly, I would think, I start out by saying that it's not an easy job, but there is a lot of satisfaction also.
One of our kids says, don't just talk to your grandkids about your Parkinson's stuff all the time. And it is kind of hard because it so dominates your life. It takes over. And
So that's very important to take the stigma that you are all Parkinson's. So you are somebody had Parkinson's, and Parkinson's cannot define you. So that's very important that there's a lot of things in life. Of course, we got to the phases of acceptance or progression, but Parkinson's cannot define you.
you're not supposed to let it take over, and it's not supposed to be the main thing, and it's not supposed to be who you are. But it does, and it is. Right? Yes.
It's a matter of waking up in the morning and saying, I'm glad I'm here and I'm going to make the best of it, and I really am going to enjoy my life. Forget about Parkinson's. It's going to stay there. It's not going to go away. But we can deal with it. We can handle it, and we can find wonderful things to do.
It's very helpful to get together with other people and share, if you can, what's going on. It was very wonderful to be part of.
That's what we're doing right now, right? So that's we supporting each other. That's very important. Thank you for coming here.
That support group.
You meet other people with the same problems, the same difficulties, and it's a wonderful way to communicate and understand what you're up against and get advice from other people. It has been wonderful for me.
Because what I might be trying to get through, they've been through it. Or what I've been gone through, they just, because it changes so.
As you get together, you start talking, you start confiding, and you find that you get people that are very willing to listen. That's very important to me.
I tried to do too much too soon and prevented her from taking the time and for all of those challenges to do it herself longer.
I'm certainly guilty of making it about my needs as the son. I need this time with my father. I need this activity with my father, instead of focusing on him and his needs.
So many caregivers are so wrapped up in what they're doing for the person that they love that they totally neglect themselves. And in doing so, they are not the best caregiver they can be.
I found out with Parkinson, you can't rush. You gotta like give them at least 2 hours, where we would take a shower and be done and go out the door, but it don't work that way.
What is 1 hour in Jerry's mind can be 2 minutes in my mind. And time sits longer and is more uncomfortable for him, whereas I'll be doing something and a minute goes by very quickly. So I think that is definitely a good point for caregivers. And I don't always adhere to his needs immediately, and that does cause stress.
There will be good things. There will be those lucid moments. There will be the laughter. You're so concentrating on everything that's going bad that you need to celebrate the good moments.
That's very important. Embrace the happiness. Life is too short, so it's built for happy seconds. We suffer for long hours. So getting more tips about this.
So many caregivers are so wrapped up in what they're doing for the person that they love that they totally neglect themselves. And in doing so,
I think we see that already. So let's go for the next one. So let's see how we manage the stress as a caregiver.
It was just overwhelming because I thought that the Parkinson would kind of stay like it was doing, and then all of a sudden he just totally changed to a different person. But you know, some people, see, when we go to church every Sunday, and I think a lot of people, if they see him at church and he's okay at church, they think he's fine. And one time, a couple of times, I was feeling bad because they was like supporting him and saying, how you doing, you're looking better. But they was like, they didn't even think about what I'm going through.
And that happens all the time when they come to consult. The patient look the best for us and say, no, everything is fine, it's good. And sometimes the caregiver stand up and say, no. And when they ask them to walk and say, come with me, let me know he or she is showing off, because it's like we sweethearts, right? We show our best, but when you get married and 30 years of marriage is a different story. So, but that means a lot. You have been married for 30 years. That means this is your investment for life, right? I call my investment my wife. 30 years. That's my investment. So up and downs, but it's my investment, and I love it to the bottom of my heart. So sometimes we're a perfect couple because we have a problem sometimes, but that's making it interesting.
So I was feeling kind of rejected because I wasn't getting any support. I didn't think I was getting any support. They was like, oh, I'm so glad to see you and you're doing so good. And they wouldn't say nothing to me, like, you know, as long as you dressed up with some makeup on your hair, they think you're okay. And some Sundays I'm crushed. Caring for myself is still so difficult. It's so hard because I can have respite 6 hours and be gone, but then when I get home, stuff can just fall apart. Throughout the year, I schedule it where I have 2 weekends a month, and I have every other Wednesdays. But for a while back in the winter, I was just walking the mall, you know, just kind of walking the mall, or going to my sister's, or going to the salon. And for a minute, walking the malls is not fulfilling either. You spend too much money. So right now, to be honest, it's still really hard to just find something. Because we have a support group that we kind of created ourselves, and one of the ladies told me that I need to find a passion so I can have something to look forward to, and I really haven't found that yet. So, but I'm working on it. So I just leave the house sometime when when I have the homemaking that's 3 hours, I just go downstairs and just close the door and put a movie on or just lay down, you know, and just.
Yes, take time for yourself. Take some respite. That's why Michael came today and talked to you about fantastic places that you have some respite. You need yourself time for errands, to do the grocery, to take care of yourself, go to the gym, go to your doctors, take care of yourself.
Like, just kind of just don't think about it. Close the door.
Okay, what's about the emotional part? So again, this is the emotional. Again, this is a very
Well,
sense
I'll be very honest.
fiber in your heart about it.
At first, I was very emotional. I was very distraught. I didn't know what was in the future for us. We went to one Parkinson's support group, and I saw many people in advanced stages, and I started to cry. I didn't believe that could ever happen.
And sometimes when I talk with the Parkinson's place, with people that have a young onset of Parkinson's, so they are very early in Parkinson's, say, and I'm very sorry many of you get a little depressed with this presentation, but unfortunately that's the reality. But many people, when they are in this advanced Parkinson's, they are thinking, coming to here, they could be depressed, but saying, no, that we have different stages. You need to hold our people no as good as you are, not because no, I don't go there because you see people with very bad Parkinson's. No, this is a fantastic place, and you need to hold our people that are not doing as good as you are.
Happened to us. We were lucky. It was a slow progression, so we had many years. But I never quite felt ready for the next stage. I never quite felt ready for Jerry to be in a wheelchair, for Jerry to be as tired as he gets. I have meltdowns, big time, because there are times when life becomes overwhelming, but I realize that those meltdowns will pass. I allow myself that meltdown period of time. And I feel that, okay, I feel sorry for myself, I feel sorry for Jerry, but then I feel we're going to go on and we'll look forward to the next thing.
So again, I'm very sorry for the emotion, but that's true. But again, we said we have to embrace the happy moments, and I'm sure you have that you can find a lot of happy moments every day. Look for those. And another thing that sounds a little sad as well about is dementia. And again, we talk about dementia in Parkinson's. We have to talking
I think the
about
most difficult part of being a caregiver with someone with Parkinson's and the dementia is to be calm and not get frustrated. It is very frustrating to be with somebody who has dementia. There's not a doubt. They're repeating themselves. They are forgetting that they just told you that. They're forgetting where they are. It takes a lot of patience. And I go back to...
Talking about this and dementia, again, we have a very nice meeting, and we're trying to get our memory clinic with Dr. Concha, that many of you know. And last night we have a very nice dinner in the State Street, and we celebrate that we have the second medication for Alzheimer's. So it's not like it's probably we can get a cure for that, and hopefully we the same for Parkinson's. But again, it's like somebody don't remember you, but you have the medication, and sometimes it has these bright moments. Just go back to recognize your son. You can embrace and recognize your grandkids. That's we are very passionate about this. So it's sad, but again, you had to get, and hopefully we can get to the same place for Parkinson's. But remember, not only that you have Parkinson's doesn't mean that you cannot have Alzheimer's. So We always talk about we're talking about tremors, we talk about balance, but we forgetting, pun intended, about dementia in Parkinson's. So always, if there is any issue with cognition, is always to have a baseline cognitive testing or along the way to see what's going on. And nowadays, we can tell by sure you have Alzheimer's dementia with beta amyloid PET scans. And short enough, we have a blood test. And the blood test will be available soon, and the new medication in a couple of months. So we're very excited about that, and hopefully we can say the same for the Parkinson's associated dementia soon.
Getting that break and stepping away and not reacting. It's natural to get frustrated, and you feel guilty when you do because you may lose your temper, and you just have to walk away, and you have to remember they're not the same person they once were, and this disease is doing this. They're not purposely frustrating you. They're not purposely forgetting. They're not purposely repeating themselves. They're not even aware of it. And if you could take that and remind yourself and try not to react to it, it will help you so much. I just remember when my father would, when you can no longer have a conversation, you know, this is my dad. I want to tell him this, and he can't communicate with me. You just have to learn patience. You have to learn patience. I can't even reiterate it enough. There will be good things. There will be those lucid moments. There will be the laughter. Try to concentrate on that and let that carry you through the day, because the rest of the day is probably not going to be that good. But you want to hold on.
So remember, it will be cycles of happiness. Embrace those. Will be a very hard journey, but embrace those happiness.
Onto all those special moments that you have a glimpse of who that person used to be. And he's still there, but he's lost in this disease.
Okay, thank you always and forever. Thank you for being here. And again, I'm very sorry this was a little emotional, but I think it's something, it's the reality. But again, we care of our patients with Parkinson's, but the caregivers. And again, embrace every second of happiness. Every day counts. And don't just think about that you have Parkinson's, that Parkinson's don't define you. And try to be happy. We're in paradise. So, and we are here supporting each other. And that's the purpose of the Parkinson's Place. So thank you for being here.